There are places so far from civilization that time behaves differently. Roads fade. Signals disappear. And silence becomes so loud it feels alive. People often think danger comes from crowded cities, from criminals, chaos, and noise. But the most disturbing stories don't happen where people are watching. They happen where no one is. The following accounts come from survivors, investigators, and recovered records. Some were officially dismissed. Others were quietly sealed away. All of them share one chilling truth. The middle of nowhere is never truly empty. Story 1. The watchtower with no guard. In the late 1990s, a fire watchtower stood alone deep in a mountainous forest region of North America. The nearest ranger station was over 40 miles away. The tower was staffed by a single person at a time, usually for weeks that a ranger named Caleb took a seasonal assignment there. He was young, experienced, and comfortable with isolation. The first week was peaceful. The second week, strange things began happening that night. Caleb heard footsteps climbing the tower stairs. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Each time he opened the door, the stairs were empty. There were no animals large enough to climb metal steps without making noise. And there were no trails nearby. On the 10th night, the radio crackled to life. A voice spoke. But it wasn't dispatched. It was Caleb's own voice. The transmission repeated a sentence he remembered saying earlier that day. "I can see smoke to the east." Panic set in. He tried contacting headquarters, but only static answered. Then the footsteps returned, this time reaching the top. The tower door handle slowly turned. Caleb locked himself inside until morning. When a relief ranger arrived days later, the tower was empty. No sign of struggle. No damage. The radio log showed multiple transmissions sent from the tower after Caleb vanished. All in his voice. Story 2. The highway that refused to end. A married couple driving cross-country decided to avoid traffic by taking a rural highway cutting through open plains. According to the map, it should have taken 2 hours. They drove for 6. The scenery never changed. The same broken fence, the same dead tree, the same mile marker. 2:17. Their phone clocks froze. The car radio played only static, except for brief moments when a faint voice whispered numbers. Fuel didn't decrease. The sun never fully set. Eventually, they saw headlights approaching from behind. Relieved, they slowed down. The car passed them. Inside was no driver, just empty seats, and the same couple staring forward, faces pale and unmoving. The highway suddenly ended. They found themselves parked on a normal road near a small town. Authorities said they had only been gone 18 minutes, but the couple refuses to drive at night. They say roads remember people, and sometimes replay them. Story 3. The village that wasn't abandoned. A team of anthropologists traveled to a remote desert region to document ruins of a long-abandoned settlement. Satellite images showed collapsed buildings and no signs of life. But when they arrived, smoke was rising from cooking fires. The village was intact. Food was warm. Beds were slept in. Water containers were full, but there were no people. At night, the researchers heard movement between the buildings. Soft footsteps. Quiet conversations in a language none of them recognized. Thermal cameras showed human-shaped heat signatures moving just beyond their view. Every morning, the village looked freshly lived in. On the third night, one researcher disappeared. Struggled. No tracks. Only his journal remained, open to a final sentence. They don't like being seen. The team evacuated immediately. When satellite images were reviewed weeks later, the village was gone. Only sand remained. Story 4. The signal beneath the snow. In a frozen region of northern Europe, a temporary communications station monitored emergency frequencies. The area was uninhabited. One winter night, a distress call came through. The voice was calm. "I'm buried, but I can still hear you." Rescue teams searched the coordinates. Nothing. No crashed. No sheltered. No footprints. The signal returned the next night. "I don't think I'm alone down here." Ground-penetrating radar showed an empty landscape. On the third night, the voice changed. It was closer. "We're learning how to talk." The station was shut down immediately. Equipment removed. But months later, hikers reported hearing voices beneath the snow, responding when spoken to. Story 5. The place that watches you leave. A solo filmmaker set out to document abandoned locations in a vast rural region of South America. One location stood out. A single concrete structure in open land, miles from anything else. No doors. No windows. Just a dark opening. When he stepped inside, his camera battery dropped from full to zero in seconds. He felt watched. Leaving the structure, he turned around to film it again. The opening was gone. The walls were smooth. He panicked and ran. When he later reviewed his footage, the final clip showed something horrifying. The structure wasn't behind him. It was following, always just outside. The framed that he never returned to that region. The footage was never released publicly. Final thought: the middle of nowhere is where rules loosen, where time stutters, where places remember, where silence listens. Most people will never experience it, but those who do often say the same thing. They didn't feel threatened, they felt noticed, and once something notices you, distance doesn't matter anymore, not if you want next.